of Family Feud this morning at 8 on Fox 14.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, several PSU students spent their day off serving others in the community.
Plus, dangerous cold temperatures have moved through the area. We'll hear how first responders deal with winter weather.
And we still are facing those dangerously cold temperatures, wind chill warnings and advisories continuing through noon today. Well, the latest on that forecast coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. Just after 7 o'clock on this Tuesday morning, another bitterly cold day across the area.
Yes, sir.
I do not like it. I remember a time when we were kids, we could have snow, but it was still like in the 20s or 30s, and you could play in that snow.
Yeah.
My kids, they want to go play in the snow, and I'm like, you'll die.
Yeah, it's not safe.
You cannot go out and play in this snow because it's too cold.
Absolutely.
And it's hard for them to understand because, they go out and they're like, no, this is fine. Like, it's fine for 5 minutes, and then it becomes dangerous. So
absolutely,
that's tough. But yesterday, despite the cold, some folks, day of serving for them.
Yeah, yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and Pitt State students utilized their day off to do service around the Pittsburgh area.
KOAM's Anthony Saviello has more.
Martin Luther King Jr. is known for his movements to fight for civil and equal rights. Every year, people honor his legacy in their own way. The same can be said for students at Pitt State.
I kind of like the slogan of it's not a day off, it's a day on. Just kind of taking whatever time you have and giving back.
These students brave the cold temperatures to come together and not only serve their community, but honor a man who taught many about the power of service.
It doesn't necessarily have to go like, oh, I'm going to go do gardening at my local school or something. You could do something from home, and there's a lot of different options for services around the community.
This event was not just exclusive to Pitt State campus. Students had opportunities throughout the day to serve all over their community.
That's the whole point of being part of a community, is just kind of giving back to the people around you. It's not to better yourself, but to better everybody else.
This event marks the inaugural MLK Day of Service for Pitt State and is only the beginning for these students and their willingness to serve.
I feel like doing this day and doing all this stuff, it brings us together as a community, and we can provide for a community and spread joy, spread happiness, and just all of us come together for one purpose.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Events continued on until 7 p.m. yesterday evening.
And students and faculty all had the choice and opportunity to volunteer and serve both on and off campus. So a lot of great work being done.
Absolutely.
Despite those extremely cold temperatures, and that's what we're looking at. Quick look outside. Our camera on top of the Cornell complex in downtown is looking right down at 7th Street. You can see some of those shiny spots. That's where we've got to watch out for that black ice across the area. So even though you can see the bulk of 7th Street, at least right in this zone, looks relatively clear, there's still black ice and other slick spots that we need to be concerned about there. MoDOT cameras around the metro area. You can still see some snow, some shiny spots, definitely black ice concerns. And even with these little slivers of snow over the white lines, if you're changing lanes and you're going too fast, you're not paying attention, you can very easily slide on that stuff out there. So you've got to be cautious. KDOT cameras south of Pittsburgh looking good on 69. But again, it's the black ice. It's the biggest concern this morning with some of the melting that took place from the clearing by road crews yesterday and just from traffic in general. It's cold enough. It obviously would have refrozen, and you got to be careful out there. Even if the road looks clear, it may not be clear. And we do have slick spots being reported by KDOT in our southern counties in southeast Kansas, and still some partially covered roadways up north around Burlington, Garnett, and Mound City. On the Missouri side, still some partially covered roadways as we head in here, including stretches of I-49, 54, 126, most of the main thoroughfares that MoDOT takes care of in the Joplin area, down south into Neosho, down by Pineville, Cassville. So again, just watch out. Give yourself time to get where you're going. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear. A stray cloud or two will be possible this morning, but otherwise we're looking at sunny skies. Wind chill advisories, wind chill warnings continue through noon today for those dangerously cold wind chills, upwards of 20 below zero. We are sitting at 6 below in Joplin right now, 5 below over in Pittsburgh this morning. morning, and temperatures around the region again, all of us still sitting below zero out there, and that's just the air temperature. Our wind chill still dangerously cold, upwards of 20 degrees below zero across the area. And remember, number of schools, businesses, organizations closed today, so make sure you check, see if you even have to go out in this business, because if you don't, you can stay home where it's warm. Sunny skies today. A little bit better. We're talking mid-upper teens. We have better weather on the way. We also have maybe some additional light snow on the way. We'll talk about all that in the full forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Yesterday morning's sunshine was a big help for Oklahoma Department of Transportation crews as they continue clearing highways and turnpikes. However, slick and hazardous conditions remain in several areas, including Pawnee, Craig, and Delaware counties. Counties still reporting slick spots, but improving conditions include Mays and Ottawa counties. Motorists are cautioned, even if a highway looks clear, there still may be ice present. And MoDOT crews have been hard at work since yesterday, clearing and treating roads. Both temps going back near or below zero last night. MoDOT says any of their chemical treatments won't work. However, they will stay on top of things.
We're just kind of in a monitoring stage right now because with the sub-zero temperatures at night and then single digits at best during the day. Today, I think we got to 10 degrees, but we're just not doing a whole lot of good putting salt down. So we have mainly switched to abrasives.
And it's those abrasives that will help cars maintain traction on snow-covered roads before improving. Weather can help things out in a big way. Until then, MoDOT encourages everyone to take it nice and slow and call 1-888-ASK-MoDOT to report any road concerns. And because of the recent snow and dangerously cold temperatures, we are resharing a story from 2021 where KOAM's Chris Warner shares how that danger is amplified for first responders.
It's difficult to appreciate the size of an ambulance unless you're right next to one. Even this video doesn't do it justice. It's that size, shape, and weight that Jason Smith says makes them tough to drive in the snow.
The ambulances are very top heavy, so not only with the road conditions being a factor when we get the high wind with it like we had a night or two ago, can also make it challenging.
When it snows, changes are made to how they respond to emergency calls, like their speed, among other things.
A lot of time the other motorists, when they see the lights and sirens, they feel like they're forced to, veer off one side or the other. And so we want to be able to get to the call in a timely manner, but we also have to be safe doing it and make sure that we account for the safety of the other motorists that are on the road.
Smith says they also use four-wheel drive vehicles and have a great partnership with fire crews.
All the local fire departments are extremely supportive and helpful as far as even when it comes to just maneuvering the cot through the snow, sometimes is a challenge. So all of these guys are great to get out and, help us do that.
Now, to those fire crews. Fire trucks, like ambulances, are big, heavy, and tough to drive in the snow, even with four-wheel drive. So Leif Hasty says they've made changes too.
It takes a lot longer to stop the bigger apparatus for sure. The smaller apparatus are just as dangerous though. So we actually take it to where you see people running lights and sirens often. We don't. Whenever this stuff's on the ground, we tend to take the lights and sirens out of the equation.
They also slow down, which impacts response times. Another factor impacting those times, having to change routes in rural areas.
So we have to keep in mind that our response may change as far as the direction and the destination. So we usually have set response pathways that we take. And right now, with the way the roads are, you have to change that up.
In Joplin and Reddings Mill, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Up next, voting has begun for the GOP candidates, with former President Trump winning by a landslide in Iowa. We'll hear the candidates' plan for the upcoming New Hampshire primary. And later, a middle school boy in Minnesota is organizing a fundraiser for his favorite bus driver. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Welcome to Miss Daisy's, where style meets comfort. Step into a world of endless possibilities as you explore and give your home the makeover it deserves.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, Apple is reconfiguring some of its Apple Watches in order to avoid an import ban on its newer models. The tech giant will redesign the blood oxygen sensors in its watches to get around the patent dispute with Massimo. Last year, the U.S. International Trade Commission placed an import ban on Apple's Series 9 and Ultra 2 watches after it found Apple violated patents of Masimo's medical technology. A U.S. appeals court later placed a temporary pause on the ban after Apple filed to appeal the trade agency's ruling. Apple has not described what the redesign could be, but says that the watches will have full functionality. And Donald Trump clinched the top spot in Iowa after caucus goers faced sub-zero temperatures to select their candidate for the GOP presidential nomination. The night ended with the candidates in second and third place finishing far behind Trump, and the fourth place finisher suspending their campaign as the GOP field tightens. Julia Brembrecht is in Des Moines with all the latest.
So we're going to put America first. We're going to make America great again. Again, Iowa, we love you.
The results from the Iowa caucuses weren't surprising, as former President Donald Trump held a commanding lead in the polls coming into Monday night. Trump made it clear to his supporters that he didn't just want to win, he wanted to win big, urging Iowans to show up for him no matter the weather.
You can't sit home. If you're sick as a dog, you say, darling, I gotta make it. Even if you vote and then pass away, it's worth it, remember?
Meanwhile, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley battled it out in the race for second place. DeSantis went all in on Iowa, visiting all 99 counties and receiving a rare endorsement from the state's governor. DeSantis, who grabbed the second place finish, is promising his voters he will continue to fight.
In spite of all of that they threw at us, everyone against us, we've got our ticket punched out of Iowa.
Haley, finishing in third in the Hawkeye state, has been on an upward trajectory in New Hampshire, where voters head to the polls next week.
I love you, Iowa, but we're on to New Hampshire.
Now the GOP candidates for president turn to the Granite State. Former President Donald Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley roll into New Hampshire to stump for votes in the nation's first primary on January 23rd. Here's what to know up to voting time. New Hampshire has a town hall and question-asking tradition. TV ads are expensive, relying on nearby Boston, so radio and diner show up may work better. Former President Donald Trump is favoring rallies and may add drop-in visits to shake hands and hand out food. A New Hampshire win by DeSantis or Haley could show Trump's not invincible in the leftover states.
And we've got ourselves those wind chill advisories and wind chill warnings continuing through noon today. So in addition to the dangerously cold temperatures, we've still got to deal with slick spots. You can see road crews out there trying to do their job, but still a long way to go. We're going to take another look at that forecast here in just a moment. And a little later, we'll hear how a special bond has been formed between a bus driver and a student.
By example, teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:17 on this Tuesday morning. Still have the wind chill advisories and wind chill warnings, again, continuing until noon today for those dangerously cold wind chills. But that's the good news. I've been double checking just to be sure they've not been extended. They're still going to expire at noon, and that's a promising sign. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear. And that is a nice sight to see. It's not just clear of snow, it's clear of cloud cover as well, as we're looking at a relatively sunny day. However, we still have slick spots to contend with. Slick spots, KDOT reporting those all the way from Elk and Chautauqua County down into Cherokee and Crawford counties. All of this, you've got to watch out for slick spots out there. And partially covered roadways in Lynn, Anderson, and Coffee counties up north. And that means that there's still some snow cover on some of these highways as well, including a stretch of 69 heading north toward KCK. On the Missouri side of things, we still have some partially covered reports for I-49 through Bates and Vernon counties, and then we've got 54, 126, most of the major thoroughfares in Joplin that MoDOT tends to, still listed as partially covered out there, and that does include into the southern parts of our viewing area as well. From Mount Vernon to Stockton, looking pretty good, but outside of that, you got to watch out. And even where it's listed as clear, black ice is one of the other big concerns we have with today. We still may even have some here where it looks shiny. It's very likely some areas that can freeze easily and turn into black ice, even though the road may look clear. You've got to be careful. That's how it was for me on my drive up here, coming up North Main towards Stone's Corner. Main Street was relatively clear. Good, nice shot. Got to Stone's Corner. Obviously didn't see black ice because that's why they call it that. It blends in with the pavement. I hit that. Thankfully, I didn't hit anything or anyone or didn't lose major control, but even slowing down to get into that roundabout, I still slid, and it was difficult to brake going into the roundabout. So you've got to be careful. The road may look clear, but it may not be completely clear. MoDOT cameras around the metro area also showing where we still have some snow, some black ice, some slick spots out there. So again, be cautious. Check the screen or the scrolling down below to see if you even have to go to work or school today, because if you don't, it's an excellent reason to stay inside, stay off the roads, and stay warm as well. KDOT camera south of Pittsburgh. Looking pretty good, but again, you've got to watch out for the black ice. Same just south of there at Kansas Crossing. There's still some patchy snow in the center lanes and in that right turn lane to go into the casino, so you've got to watch out for sure. In Joplin right now, we are sitting at 6 below zero. Feels like 17 below with a light west breeze at 5. That breeze isn't even that much, and it's still enough to kick that wind chill down to dangerous levels. Temperatures around the region still holding on to below zero levels out there, so a very cold start, so it's probably great that a number of schools are not in session today. I know for parents it makes it tough. Believe me, my middle child, Colt, is here. This is his second day this week coming to work with me, and since we've had the snow activity, he's been here so much, I think he thinks he works here now because he's been getting up with me and coming here, and I'm sure he's not enjoying it all that much. Wind chills around the area, still dangerously cold, upwards of 20 degrees below zero out there. However, we're looking at sunny skies today, highs mid-upper teens, so still cold. I'm not saying it's not, but it's an improvement. West breeze at about 5 to 10, and our temperatures, while they're still cold tonight, take a look. 16 for a high. I want to go back up. 12 for a low. Temperatures do get cold, but they don't fall that much, and we get a southwest breeze gusting upwards of 25. Wind chills still upwards of 10 below. Wind chills tomorrow, 0 to 5 below to start the day. South breeze gusting to 30, but look at that, just a few clouds and mid-30s out there. It's going to feel a lot better. We're going to get some more melting done just in time for Thursday to say, hold up, wait a second, we're not quite done yet. But the good news is with Thursday, even though we're looking at some light snow out there, we're not looking at any major accumulations, maybe a dusting in most locations. So that's some good news, but it's still going to be cold enough it can stick to the roadways, and that could lead to slick spots. That's also going to make us cold again. We fall back into the teens, back into the 20s, but as we head into next week, it gets better yet. As we get highs into the 40s, pushing near 50 by next Wednesday, we may have to deal with rain, but I'll take that rain with these warmer temperatures, and I'm sure most of you at home will as well. That's a quick check of your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
It made me feel great to know that
Jackson would fight.
I felt like they had my back.
That's what practicing law is all about. We are Aaron Sachs and Associates.
Well, a sixth grader in Minnesota decided that he couldn't just sit around and do nothing when he learned that his favorite bus driver has stage 4 cancer.
Heidi Widgall shares the bond that has formed between the two.
As a bus driver, Heidi Karsten
347 is our bus.
Is used to picking up kids.
Mrs. Heidi, you are the best bus driver.
Now, they're the ones.
I hope you get better. You can do it.
Picking her up.
Yeah, because stage 4 cancer is really kind of it's a tough pill to swallow.
In her 10th year as a driver for Independent School District 196, life took an unexpected turn.
I came home from my morning route and I walked in the door and I received a phone call. The biopsy showed that I had cancer in my stomach.
In December, she told her kids she wouldn't be coming back.
I miss it every day. I've passed my bus on the road. And now it's hard. Sorry.
Heidi is now at home in Rosemount going through chemotherapy. There is no cure for her cancer.
In one phone call, my life was changed forever.
I really do miss her. I wish she was our bus driver again.
Noah Weber is a 6th grader at Blackhawk Middle School, his first year on Heidi's route.
Yeah, she was really nice. I started thinking about trying to do something, and I just really couldn't just stand there and watch it happen, so that's why I chose to start fundraising.
Making loaves of banana bread and apricot muffins to sell, each one baked with love.
My mom was like, all right, are you ready to seal the envelope? And she told me the amount, and I was like, wait, Mom. And I went to my, what do I call this, money stash, and I picked $26 from it, and I added it to the pile to make exactly $1,000.
I just couldn't even believe it. Just couldn't even believe it.
Dear Heidi, when I found out about your cancer, I was devastated, and so was my family. I chose that I would do something about it. We hope this helps you get better soon.
Pretty awesome kid.
From gifts.
This is also from one of my 5th grade patrols.
To cards.
Keep smiling, keep looking up, keep moving forward.
Bus 347 stays with Heidi as she steers a new route.
Just thinking about all of this gives me a little more will to fight.
Picking her up.
I had no idea. You're just awesome.
For the long road ahead.
Certainly an incredible story. And, you know, that's the thing. Bus drivers, I think, they do a lot more than what a lot of folks
Absolutely.
realize. I mean,
They
I
really
still
are.
remember some of my favorite bus drivers from all those years ago.
Absolutely. You never forget.
No.
Well, coming up, volunteers are needed to help run warming centers. Charmel Odell shows how you can help.
And we continue with dangerously cold temperatures today and the slick spots on the area roadways, as you can see there on our Cornell camera. We'll have another look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
I'm not coming out until Casey's has thin crust.
Buy one large single topping pizza, get the second half off. Only at Casey's.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. The time now is 7:30 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. With winter bringing blasts of snow, shoveling it out of your driveway could potentially be risky to your health. Medical experts say snow shoveling can be dangerous and has caused 11,500 injuries and 100 deaths a year. Doctors suggest making sure you're already physically active and dressed in layers for warmth. Doctors also recommend staying hydrated, looking out for frostbite on the nose and fingers, and always keeping your cell phone handy in case of an emergency. In Webb City, the public library is operating not just as a library, but also as a warming center. It's open from 9 to 5 throughout the week. The library director wants the community to know anyone can stop in to warm up and enjoy a free cup of coffee or hot chocolate.
You know, the whole part of being a public library is we're here for the community. You know, it's, yes, mostly, and it's about books and stuff, but, you know, it's also the community. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't, you know, be here.
Johnson warns library patrons to be careful as the parking lots and sidewalks may be slick due to the freezing temperatures. And with the freezing temperatures expected again tonight, cold weather shelters are open across Missouri. But with the open doors comes the need for volunteers to help staff them. Charmel Odell reports from Springfield.
So because our capacity has almost doubled and we've seen those fill, then absolutely the usage has almost doubled. And so, you know, the thing that's really difficult is we still have people that are outside in this weather.
Shelter operators say they've seen the number of people who need a warm place to stay double in the last few days.
In situations like this with extreme cold, we do see a rise in numbers. And it's hard for us to say, hey, we just don't have space.
Salvation Army's Harbor House holds about 20 to 25 men who need a place to sleep and feeds 150 people every day. All this with less than 10 volunteers.
It takes an army, it does. Volunteers to the other shelters are in high demand. It's exhausting. It is very exhausting.
Other overnight warming shelters hold around the same number of people, but operate with 2 volunteers overnight.
This week, it's been particularly difficult to get volunteers, and so that is definitely a huge need.
Community leaders say if they don't get enough volunteers, they may have to cut back on shelters.
Always the most heartbreaking thing is when we can't open a shelter because we don't have enough volunteers.
And we've got ourselves dangerously cold temperatures and slick roadways once again across the area. I know the snow's been a few days ago, a couple days ago at least. Unfortunately, still dealing with it. Well, and that's what we talked about last week, is any snow we got wasn't going to go anywhere very quickly because of the cold. This is our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown looking at 7th Street. Still got some snow strips here and there and through here, and you can see where the tracks are. So you've got to watch out. You got to be careful. Black ice is really one of the top concerns we have. But taking a look at MoDOT cameras around the metro, there's still slick spots and snow even along the white dash lines between the two lanes. And so if you're changing lanes and you're going too fast, not paying attention, it doesn't take much to lose control in these slick conditions. So be careful out there. KDOT camera south of Pittsburgh also showing 69. Looks great. It's looking a lot better, but black ice still a concern out there, and that's why KDOT still reporting slick spots in the green in our southern counties in southeastern Kansas. It's a partially covered roadways in our northern counties, so Burlington, Garnett, Mound City up there. On the Missouri side, things again gradually improving, but still some partially covered roadways, including stretches of I-49 in Bates and Vernon counties. And then you get into the rest of the area, 43, 54, 126. Many of the main thoroughfares through the Joplin metro area still listed as partially covered. You head down Bonnet, Cassville, and down around Pineville, Southwest City. Still have to deal with that. Skywatch Storm Tracker, thankfully, is clear out there, and it will remain that way through today. Our wind chill advisories and wind chill warnings continue through noon. So far, they have not been extended, and that's at least our first bit of good news. But they're still in effect for now, and that's dangerous wind chills up to 20 below zero. We're going to have another full look at your forecast, talk about a warm-up, talk about some snow chances, talk about a cool down, and talk about another warm-up. A lot to discuss here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Houthi rebel attacks in the Red Sea sparks concerns over gas prices. That story and more coming up in Consumer Watch.
From the moment you call.
Quality, compassionate.
Quality, compassionate, affordable care.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 7:37 on this Tuesday morning. Still dealing with slick spots. I know we just talked about this, but want to reemphasize, you've got to watch out. Roads may look clear, but black ice is going to be a big concern as we go through the morning commute here across the area. I personally ran into some myself, and that's the thing. You don't see it until you hit it. So that's why you've still got to take it easy. The road you're on may look clear. It may look great. And then you run into that patch of black ice. You get comfortable. You're cruising right along, and then the next thing you know, you're sliding around out there. So be careful. We got cameras around the area showing where we still have some patchy snow cover and, of course, slick spots out there. KDOT camera on 69 south of Pittsburgh. 69 looks good. But, again, it's slick spots and patchy black ice that you're going to have to watch out for. If the road ahead of you looks like it's a little wet out there, you need to slow down before you get up there because that could be black ice, and you do not want to go sliding around on that. In Joplin right now, it is 6 degrees below zero, but we have clear skies out there. Feels like 17 below with a west breeze at 5 miles an hour. Temperatures around the region, all of us still hanging out below zero this morning. So again, bitterly cold temperatures, dangerously cold wind chills, upwards of 20 degrees below zero across the area. So we have to contend with that as we go through the morning as well. And that's why we still have our wind chill advisories and wind chill warnings across the area until noon today. But again, the good news there is they expire at noon today. Our highs today, cold, but a little better than yesterday's. We're going mid-upper teens across the area. Wind chill values, again, especially through the first half of our day, still upwards of 20 degrees below zero with a west breeze at about 5 to 10 miles an hour. Now, while it's still going to be cold tonight, our temperature from our daytime highs to our overnight lows, not a big difference. It's going to fall back just a little bit, which is a good sign. It means we're going to be a little warmer, which means we're going to be a little warmer tomorrow. In fact, we're going to be a lot warmer tomorrow. Into the low teens tonight, southwest breeze 5 to 15, gusting upwards of 25 miles an hour. Those wind chill values anywhere from 5 to 10 below zero out there. So again, you're going to want to watch out. Be cautious as you head out tomorrow. Check again to see if your school or organization is canceled for tomorrow. A number of them have already canceled for today. Those are scrolling across the bottom of your screen. And, of course, we have the complete list on our website at koamnewsnow.com, or as we call it in the wintertime, and it drives our digital producer, our digital manager crazy, koamnewsnow.com. I got one slight giggle. All right, you folks at home are probably going, really, Matt, just stop. And I will. We're going to talk about this. 35 tomorrow for our high. Just a few clouds here and there. Wind chills anywhere from 0 to about 5 below. So we get the day started. And that south wind's going to kick up, gusting upwards of 30. Unfortunately, as we head into our Thursday, we're going to start mid-30s. It's going to be decent out there. Doesn't last. We got some light snow rolling in. Now, at this point, we're not looking at anything significant out of this snow, maybe a dusting at best. But as we saw with the Sunday snow, the ground's still going to be cold enough. The roads are still going to be cold enough. Some of it could stick. We could have some additional slick spots as we go Thursday into our Friday. And take a look. It knocks our temperatures right back down again. Just when we start to get comfortable with some milder temperatures into the 30s, they fall right back down. Overnight lows in the teens, highs in the 20s. But the good news is Mother Nature says, okay, you all need a break. And by next week, that break arrives. Temperatures start climbing. We're talking low, mid 40s, maybe even close to 50 next week. We're also talking rain chances. Now, I know that, boy, we can't go out and enjoy it, but I tell you, I might be singing in the rain with these warmer temperatures next week. So just a few more days, and things are going to get a little bit better across the area. We just got to get from here to there, and we're going to make it together. Let's check your forecast. We're back with Consumer Watch right after this.
Stay up to date.
Must be magic. Hefty Ultra Strong with Fabuloso Scent.
In Consumer Watch this morning, Boeing is becoming more transparent as it begins preliminary inspections on its 737 MAX 9 airplanes. Monday, the company announced it will give airlines more oversight of its facilities. Now, alongside additional quality control inspections of its 737 production line, Boeing will allow airlines into its factories and those of the contractor that builds the MAX 9 fuselage. Boeing's announcement comes after the Federal Aviation Administration grounded the MAX 9 planes after a plug door blew out mid-flight. The incident happened on January 5th during an Alaska Airlines flight from Oregon to California. The National Transportation Safety Board continues to investigate the incident. Meanwhile, Alaska Airlines began its own preliminary inspections over the weekend on 20 of its MAX 9 planes. And champagne sales have lost some of their pop in 2023 following a few record-breaking years coming out of the COVID-19 lockdowns. A report from the Trade Association Committee, Champagne, finds that the total shipment last year from France fell to 299 million bottles. That's a decline of 8.2% compared to 2022. It marks nearly a return to pre-COVID levels in 2019 when 297.3 million bottles were shipped. Within France, which accounts for Champagne's largest consumer base, shipments last year were down by a similar proportion, 8.2% or 127 million bottles. Champagne isn't alone. Other wine and spirits have seen sales ease a bit as people cut down on stockpiling their bars at home in favor of restaurants and bars now fully reopened. And there is another sign of easing inflation. A new Bureau of Labor Statistics report shows that on a monthly basis, producer prices fell 0.1% in December. That marks the third straight month of declines. Economists were expecting a monthly gain of 0.2%. The producer price index also shows wholesale inflation inched up to 1% annually in December, which is up from November's 0.8% reading. But that still represents a sharp decline from the 6.4% rate in December of 2022. The PPI report is a closely watched inflation gauge since it captures average price shifts before they reach consumers. And attacks by Iran-backed militants in the Red Sea have effectively closed one of the globe's main trade routes to container ships. Now oil tankers are starting to avoid the southern Red Sea, and gas prices could begin to rise. Jen Sullivan breaks down its impact.
The sound of UK fighter jets lifting off, part of a U.S.-led effort to go after Houthi militants based in Yemen. Backed by Iran, these militants, who say they're taking revenge for Israel's war on Hamas in Gaza, have been attacking container ships in the Red Sea since November. It's one of the world's most important trade routes. The violence has forced commercial shipping companies to avoid the area. And now, oil companies are following suit.
What you're seeing is a number of those oil tankers are no longer traversing the Red Sea.
Oil prices are already starting to tick higher. On Friday morning, U.S. crude climbed as much as 4.5% to $75.25 a barrel.
We see that the shipping is more restricted in the Red Sea. The price of oil is going up.
Gas prices remain relatively low for now. According to AAA, the national price of gas was $3.07 on Monday. But low prices may not be around for long.
We use about 100 million barrels of oil every single day, and that will certainly have an effect on price.
Summer says roughly 18 million barrels of oil travel every day through what's known as the Strait of Hormuz. But the situation in the Red Sea is so tenuous that oil tankers and commercial ships are taking a totally different route, all the way around the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. That adds days to the journey. Energy prices could spike, and so could the price at the pump. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And those are our top stories for Consumer Watch. Now let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
How would you like to win your own custom dream vacation to just about anywhere in the world? It's
Lambert, and we're acting up. Next,
Tamron Hall, this morning at 10, right here on Fox 14.
Last Friday marked the 15th anniversary of Captain Sully's heroic efforts to save his passengers by landing his plane into the Hudson River in New York.
Ollie Ballman had the opportunity to meet with Captain Sully and some of those passengers for the memorable experience.
We may end up in the Hudson.
On January 15, 2009, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 hit a flock of geese after taking off from LaGuardia Airport. With seconds to react, Captain Chesley Sully Sullenberger landed the plane on the Hudson River, saving everyone on board.
At a time when we needed it, it gave us hope.
Federal investigators call it the most successful emergency water landing in history. New Yorkers call it the miracle on the Hudson.
We proved that when we work together and work hard, there's little we cannot accomplish. And this group of people showed courage and competence.
15 years and 6 city blocks removed from the Hudson River, Sully and then co-pilot Jeff Skiles reunited with some of the passengers at the Paley Center for Media in Midtown.
That was my first trip out of training on the airplane. I just qualified the Friday before on an Airbus 320, new airplane for me. And I mean, this happened right away.
The now Captain Skiles is still a pilot, while passengers Barry Leonard and Pam Siegel still get a bit nervous on a plane.
I count to 90, which is when the birds hit, every time the plane takes off, because I know if we can get above 90 seconds that I'll be okay.
But after 15 years, they remain inspired by the hero who saved them.
Everyone wants to believe that when they get on that plane, that there's a Sully flying the plane and that there's that out, that it's not always catastrophic when something goes wrong.
Sully has become an aviation safety advocate over the years and believes the industry has improved, but says there's still more work to be done.
We must have people who understand that just good enough isn't in aviation, and it requires people who will constantly strive for excellence.
Excellence that Sully, Skiles, and everyone aboard Flight 1549 demonstrated on that fateful day.
He's just incredible.
He is. I certainly remember that that day when
right?
the plane went down. And, of course, the Tom Hanks Clint Eastwood movie that came out.
Absolutely.
Fantastic movie as well. So if you haven't had a chance to see that, simply called Sully. So it should be easy to remember.
There you go.
And it is bitterly cold out there for us today. Quick look outside. Our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Slick spots still a problem as we go through this morning. Not nearly as bad as it was yesterday morning. Many roads are getting cleared, but they're still not 100% out there, and you can see that even better from MoDOT cameras just around the Joplin area. We still have some patchy snow areas. We still have black ice out there. Still a lot of reasons you need to slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. KDOT camera on 69 south of Pittsburgh. 69 looking pretty clear, but again, it's the black ice you've got to watch out for because that's what you will not see. We have the slick conditions from Elk and Chautauqua counties all the way back to the state line, and partially covered roadways still in our northern counties out there on the Kansas side. On the Missouri side, still partially covered roadways, including stretches of 49, 43, 54, 126, and a lot of the roadways around the Joplin metro area that MoDOT attends to. Skywatch Storm Tracker is clear and will remain that way, and the wind chill advisories and warnings will continue through noon today when they'll finally be allowed to expire, but until then, still dangerously cold wind chills up to 20 below. We'll have one more look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
You've never seen a car warranty like this.
We're proud to salute Jack Andrus, a four-state hero.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Yesterday morning sunshine was a big help for Oklahoma Department of Transportation crews as they continue clearing highways and turnpikes. However, slick and hazardous conditions remain in several areas, including Pawnee, Craig, and Delaware counties. Counties still reporting slick spots, but improving conditions include Mayes and Ottawa counties. Motorists are cautioned, even if a highway looks clear, there still may be ice present. In Webb City, the public library is operating not just as a library, but also as a warming center. It's open from 9 to 5 throughout the week. The library director wants the community to know anyone can stop in to warm up and enjoy a free cup of coffee or hot chocolate. And with winter bringing blasts of snow, shoveling it out of your driveway could potentially be risky to your health. Medical experts say snow shoveling can be dangerous and has caused 11,500 injuries and 100 deaths a year. Doctors suggest making sure you're already physically active and dressed in layers for warmth. Doctors also recommend staying hydrated, looking out for frostbite on the nose and fingers, and always keep your cell phone handy in case of an emergency.
And we're going to still be cold today, but a bit better. More sunshine. Temperatures mid-upper teens out there. Wind chills through the first half of our day, upwards of 20 below zero. And then as we head into tonight, we don't fall back very far. Still cold, but not far from our highs as we go into the lower teens. And then as we head into our Wednesday, take a look at that. Mid-30s Wednesday, more sunshine again. Some light snow Thursday. No major accumulations, but a dusting possible out there. So watch out for some slick spots. Cold after that until we head into next week. Temperatures into the 40s, near 50 with some rain chances. So just a few more days and it's going to feel a lot better across the area.
Well, firefighters rescued a dog who became stuck in a partially frozen lake in Clearfield, Utah last Thursday.
Bob the dog was swimming in the Steed Pond when an ice shelf prevented him from getting out of his polar plunge, according to the North Davis Fire District. Video uploaded by the fire department shows firefighter Logan bravely crawling towards the icy pond and falling in before pushing Bob to dry land.
The firefighters' colleagues were in nearby to offer assistance and moral support.
Certainly. I mean, talk about being absolutely cold and dangerous for sure.
Yes.
Thankfully, they got him out. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good in your morning.
We'll see you right back here today at noon.